What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about Gingerdead Man. So, the basic plot of Gingerdead Man is there's this girl and she's working at her family's bakery, and earlier in the movie we see a flashback where she was at a diner with her dad and her brother, and her dad and her brother were both killed by this deranged serial killer played by Gary Busey. And when it goes back to the present and she's working at the bakery, we find out that the killer that killed her dad and brother has just been executed. And one thing leads to another, and they bake this gingerbread man with this flour, this mysterious flour, and one of the workers there gets his blood into the mixture, and this creates the Gingerdead Man, who kills various people and stalks the main girl throughout the entire movie. So, one of the things that first caught my eye when I was watching this movie is when I was watching the opening credits. It said "Creature Effects" by John Carl Buechler, and I'm not gonna lie here and say that I'm the I'm super familiar with him and I'm his biggest fan, but I do know that name for one of the main reasons why I'm familiar with his name is because he directed Friday the 13th Part 7, which in my opinion is a really solid Friday the 13th sequel. I enjoyed that one. What's interesting is he was always a makeup effects artist, and he got into directing, which you really never hear about that happening. That's pretty darn insane. I read a little synopsis on him, and it said that he's worked a lot with Charles Band, who directed this movie, and it said that he worked with him a lot doing makeup effects, creature effects, with when Charles Band was doing Empire Pictures, which I'm not familiar with, but I don't know if you all are familiar with Full Moon Features, but that's how I'm familiar with Charles Band. This movie was distributed by Full Moon Features. My history with Full Moon movies is, honestly, I'm a pretty darn big fan of them. I haven't seen that many. I've seen the first three Puppet Masters, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do enjoy them. I've seen Trancers, that's pretty decent, and I've seen this is gonna sound crazy. I'm not, because when I say this, it's gonna sound like I'm like a big stoner, which I'm not. I don't even smoke, but I'm a big fan of the Evil Bong franchise. They're they're really fun in my opinion. They just have like a charm to them. They have this opening theme music that plays in most of them, but yeah, I'm definitely a fan of Full Moon movies. This movie, to be honest, out of all the Full Moon movies I've seen, it was really not one of my favorites. The thing about this movie is there's a couple scenes that I really like. The opening scene with Gary Busey is awesome. He's super over the top, and he really sells it as this crazy deranged killer. Like all of his delivery of lines, his facial movements, his body movements, he just seems nuts. Like he really feels authentic as the killer, and he says some kind of funny stuff. Like he's like "What's that? I smell something feminine." And the way he delivers it is just so funny. I actually laughed out loud at that opening scene. I really enjoyed that. It was awesome, and that got me into it. I'm like, okay, let's go. This is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be a good time. You know, Gary Busey was killing it. It was action packed. He was just shooting fools left and right. I'm like, oh snap, you know, it's going down. But a lot of this movie dragged for me. There was so many slow portions, and it wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be, because it's one of these outlandish concepts where you think it's just going to be balls to the wall, crazy, silly, but it really wasn't that crazy. A lot of it dragged and was pretty boring in my opinion. Another scene that was really awesome that I did like, there's really only a couple main scenes that I really did like. A lot of the movie, like I said, was just whatever. Another scene that I really did like is once Gary Busey becomes the Gingerdead Man, he's just cussing out this rat because earlier in the movie, this girl is trying to sabotage the main girl by planting a rat at her restaurant. So Gary Busey's the Gingerdead Man, and he's just cussing out this rat, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's random, and I was loving that. But like I said, a lot of this movie dragged. There was this whole subplot where there was this guy across the street, and he owned this big chain bakery, and he was trying to buy the bakery, and then there was this little romance going on, and a lot of that stuff I really didn't care for. I understand that they needed more of a story, and you couldn't just have the ginger dead man just doing a bunch of silly antics throughout the whole movie, but I feel like they focused too much on that, and then the ginger dead man scenes were just sprinkled throughout the movie. Like, it was, the pacing was not great in my opinion, where there should have been more ginger dead man scenes. There really were not that many. When there were, they were underwhelming. There was a couple, like those two scenes I mentioned before were cool, and there was a couple. I do like that the Gingerdead Man had a lot of one-liners, and he had baking related puns and jokes. I really thought that was fun, and then a couple of the kills or attempted kills kind of played into the whole bakery setting, where he turned this girl, I don't know if she was supposed to be a cake or a sundae, but she was covered in frosting with sprinkles, and she had cherries on her nipples, and they put her in the freezer. I thought that was pretty funny. It tied into the whole bakery theme very well. At a later point, the Ginger Dead Man is putting people in the oven. I liked that. There was this one character that he left for a while because he was going to this wrestling event, and he worked at the bakery and actually accidentally helped make the Ginger Dead Man. He came back, and this is spoiler territory here. Towards the end, he's just biting the Ginger Dead Man, and just, it's like in like a Child's Play movie where even though he's like an inanimate object, he'll have like blood and guts inside him. So he's just eating on the Ginger Dead Man. You see blood and guts flying, gets all over his face, and then he gets possessed by the Ginger Dead Man. All of that I liked, but like I said, a lot of the stuff in between, just, I was so bored with it. So I don't know about this one. Like I said, I think it could have been more fun. Like, it's a fun funny, outlandish concept. I think they could have done more with it, but there was quite a bit that I liked. And moving forward, there are a couple sequels, and they have some pretty darn funny titles. I think one of them is called The Passion of the Crust, and it's the Gingerdead man on the cross. So I didn't hate this movie, so who knows? Maybe I'll check out the sequels, but that's pretty much all I have to say about the Gingerdead man. Um, I'm I'm about to end this review. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.